Hello, this is the 2022 LEGO Ninjago Lloyd's Legendary Dragon set. As you see here, the set comes with a giant dragon and 4 minifigures plus one tiny little insignificant side build. And that is a good thing, because most of the focus is put on just the dragon, the main thing that you're paying for here. That is a very good thing, because look at the size of this. This is an impressive, possibly the most massive official Ninjago single-headed dragon that they've ever done, I want to say. I mean, the body of it, we'll look at the body more closely, but it's impressive in its mass, possibly even excessive. The wings, thankfully, are made of cloth, which is nice. They're printed pretty nicely. Again, we'll take a closer look at that, but they also look pretty decent from the underside, which is not a given. They don't always look good from both sides. I think that overall, the initial impression here is pretty good, although the color choice is odd. You see, this is Lloyd's dragon, yet it almost has more dark blue than anything. I don't know how I feel about that. Well, no, I do know how I feel about that. Conflicted, because I like the color. I think that aesthetically everything looks good, but it doesn't necessarily feel like a Lloyd's dragon. It's a little bit brave with the color choice. This is nice what they did for the head. It's a nice hybrid. You know, they either typically go with a fully brick built head or they go with a fully custom molded head. This is both. And it does well with both, because I think that the head pieces, the specially molded pieces, look pretty good each. And you've got the ability to open and close. I mean, the teeth even feel good when you put it like that. It feels like it's really chomping. It's not super sharp or anything, but it feels like the mechanics there are good. The angle and everything feels good. And yet you build up so much of this detail, so much of this bulk back here is built up with just regular pieces. And I appreciate that so much. It's not easy to pull that off. And it was an interesting build as well. So the top of the head, as you can see, is on a ball joint, so you can move that all around. But you also have the neck here, which has limited downward motion. So it's not going to hang down at all, or not anything beyond that. It can move up quite a bit. So this can look up quite a bit, but it also helps you to turn the head to the side. So it can, it can get some really, oh, that's perfect. That's perfect right there. It's, you can have it looking like it's almost looking back at the person who's riding it up here on the, it would be Lloyd, of course, but up on the saddle. Of course, they've got a saddle there. It's a pretty good looking saddle. It's pretty nicely built up with, hey, if I could get some focus, there we go. Yeah, with just a lot of detail and a lot of greebling. You could also put 2 figures in that seat if you want. Looking at it from the other side, you can see that this is another of the printed banners, the small collectibles for this season. But I think the biggest deal for this dragon is its big, thick body. So you just look at the mass of that thing. It's so tall. And it's not because the back is bent here. There's not a big arch. There's this just for scale. There's not a, look at that. There's not a big arch in the back right now. It's just a huge chest cavity, and it's so round that makes it even more visually loud, in my opinion. It's different. It looks like it would be a very heavy dragon. Fortunately, it's got some decent sized wings, not huge wings, but we'll take a look at those in a minute. I think these legs are done great. The front legs do not have articulation at the elbow, or the elbow or knee, which I think is actually perfectly fine here, because it doesn't really need it. The feet are done pretty well. I like the look of them. I like the fact that the toes can be splayed outward for a change, which I think makes for some interesting posing possibilities. And it is on a ball joint, so you are able to move this around decently. But more importantly, for macro level posing of the forward legs, they use the new hip style piece in there to good effect here to give it plenty of friction with the ratcheted joints there. And they also fit multiple axes of movement in a small space for the effectively the shoulder. So this is able to go up and down within a small area, and it's also able to rotate forward and back almost completely freely. That is a good trick made possible by the new piece, and I think it's integrated well in here with a good total available realistic range of motion, usable range of motion here. And I think that's all good range of motion that you can actually really take advantage of. You can have those legs back when it's in flight. You can have it look like it's kind of crawling forward. Those are stickers right there, a fair number of stickers used in this set, but I feel like most of them are not that important. to use if you hate stickers. The rear legs are tiny. The rear hips are absolutely tiny, which is a huge contrast compared to the front. But these are, once again, on ratcheted joints. Having trouble with focus today. Sorry about that. So they can move forward and back and in and out. So it gives you a decent range there. And then once again, down here for the ankles, you get the ball joint, which doesn't have unlimited range, but fair usable range. And again, with these feet, just to look at them from the top, it's just different. You know, one of the toes has that up and down, and I think that's useful for motion. And then you can move these out of the way or splay them out when it's on the ground to make it look like it has a little bit more stability. And then following the spine down, there's no articulation within the body itself, but of course the tail has multiple joints. This first phalange of the tail, once again, is not able to move down because they've got a limiter there. But after that, you move into more range of motion with the Mixels style ball joints that can kind of go all over. And this does get fairly thin fairly quickly, which also helps to accentuate its forward heavy and forward biased mass and overall layout. A fair amount of greebling along here, more than it really needs to have, but it makes it feel very finished, even though, again, I have a little bit of trouble with the color scheme. The wings, again, are cloth, and it's that nice, fairly heavy cloth. This is good material. Has just a little bit of stretch in it, which is useful. You could iron this out a little bit to make it look even better, I think, but the design there is nice and goes well. I think the color blocking, the amount of the resolution of detail here is appropriate for the rest of the build. It doesn't look like it comes from a different graphical design universe entirely. And looking at the wings from the underside, this is nice. That color is unique. It's not teal. It's also not medium azure. It's halfway in between the two. But I think that it makes sense for the color of unpigmented skin on the underside, or underpigmented skin on the underside of a dragon wing. Also, the pieces that are used for the bone structure here are in colors that are okay. You know, they didn't use a bunch of red. They don't have a bunch of blue pins visible and everything. You got just a little bit of red right there. Got the gold right here, but I think that all works just fine. So this actually looks decent even from underneath. I think that if you hung it from a ceiling, it would look pretty decent. That's respectable, to be sure. Now, I've been holding off on you. There's one major built-in action feature for this. There's a black lever right here with some Technic lift arms. It's not super obvious, but that's connected to a mechanism to allow the wings to be flapped like so. I'm going to move the banner slightly out of the way because that does get in the way a little bit. This is a two-hand thing. I think you can kind of hold it from underneath and make this happen, but I don't recommend it so much. If that feels good to you, cool, but I think it's more efficient and feels better and safer to do it like this. You can actually get some decent speed out of that, and you can really you can feel the air moving as well. But notice that the wings are going mostly forward and back. Now there is a little bit of forward cant to them, so it does move some air. It's not just going level. It's not completely feathered. I wish that those went up and down just a little bit, and not just straight forward and back. But it's cool. It's smooth. It feels good. There's a little bit of flex in the system that, again, feels good. It just feels like there's some inertia, which is exactly what it is. And when those wings are all the way out, it's a pretty good angle as well. Still looks like it's in motion, but it works. This, while I was building this, I was challenged to have it stand bipedally, and it is possible to get it to stand like this, but then it's going to be leaning back. I'm not going to go through the whole process right now. Just trust me. Never mind. I lied. I couldn't help myself. I got to playing with it a little bit and had to do it again. Yeah, not the best stance. It's serviceable, but it is balancing a little bit, putting a lot of weight on the tail, which has those small joints, and then also the ankle joints don't have a tremendous amount of friction in them. So I don't recommend leaving it like this, because when you come back, it may have either fallen back or fallen forward. Yeah, one or the other. The side build for the bad guys is just this little ballista with an integrated spring-loaded shooter, and it can't really be aimed all that much. A tiny bit up, not even really. That's kind of halfway in the ratcheted joint down here. The big deal with this is the inclusion of these horn pieces, which I believe have never been in teal before. Here are the current versions of Lloyd and Nia. I still think Nia is one of the best looking ninja this season, and Lloyd is actually slipping down the rankings for me. I think he's slipped below Jay, might be just above Cole. It's not the olive green legs that are the worst thing to me here. It's actually, I think, the inclusion of the light spring green, bright spring green as an accent color in there on the print. It's just a little bit weird. The upper half of them is fine though. I like the green, the lime green, and the dark green together. Those work just fine for me. Do get the alternate faces for both of them. I like the special colored katanas. Those work. And in this set, Lloyd comes with his movie style hairpiece with the headband. The bad guys here are Python Dynamite on the left. Yeah, that's the actual name of the character, I'm afraid. Python Dynamite, just no inventiveness. They just completely gave up. Python Dynamite, period, done. On the right is a Viper Flyer. Cool, that works better for me. These are fine, right? It's nice to get, once again, the two color options, the two inverted options, the two different torsos, and a different size. You know, Ninjago has many times before done the short-legged bad guy thing, and this just fits with that and the whole Ninjago core idea of extracting the essence of Ninjago through the years and everything. So these work. And then these are the extra pieces. That 2x2 round plate is not supposed to be here. There's only supposed to be one in the set. I've used that one in the set, but there's another left over, just a mistake, but no other pieces were missing, so weird. This is also supposed to be included here, the extra bolt, and this is what the sticker sheet looks like. Yeah, some of these are useful, but again, I don't think you need to use all of these to get the dragon looking as good as it does. I paid $70 US for this set, 70 US, and that did not really feel like too much to me for the amount of stuff that's here. This is a pretty significant set. You know, there's a lot of mass here, and it's good. What is here is, it's not just mass for the sake of mass. It's well designed. I think it's something to be proud of, to be proud to own, something the designer should be proud to have made. And it's even cheaper, relatively speaking, compared to the normal state of affairs in the Eurozone and in the UK. Significantly so at that. Overall, I think that this is very good. It's much better even than I thought it was going to be. I was definitely very strongly biased against it because of the huge body that just looked weird to me, and also the color scheme that doesn't seem appropriate for Lloyd at all. And I still have some issues with it. It just doesn't quite work for me. The green, the bright green, and then the dark blue. And they got some medium azure back here. So it's a little bit weird. The wings are good, but the body, it just doesn't sit that well with me personally. But I can get past that, you know, because beyond that very, very subjective sense, that very, very subjective feeling and dislike, there's a lot to like here. As I think I covered most of the good stuff there. Good posability. This feature is nice. That mass, I think, is something that a lot of people will appreciate. It's still easy to hold on to and actually play with, and I think it displays pretty well also, if the colors work for you. I think if you like what you see here, if you like what it looks like from any kind of distance, I think you'll really enjoy it. And hopefully the price is palatable to you. If it's not, that's understandable, but I think that the value here is pretty decent. Could have used maybe another minifigure or something. Yeah, not more on the side build side. It's fine to focus on just a dragon for a dragon set for Ninjago. It's pretty core and it's pretty important. But another minifigure would have been nice. Otherwise, well done. Good stuff here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll keep working to bring you more content and talk to you again soon. But first, I just want to say one last thing. Really appreciate that LEGO is continuing to include these cardboard sleeves for instructions and stickers for many sets. Not all, but many sets. They really help to minimize, if not completely eliminate, damage to sticker sheets and instructions, and I really appreciate that. Keep it up, LEGO. Bye.